Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Classic Quest podcast. That's the one where we go through classic rap albums and try to figure out why people think they're classics. And my name's HSR.
I am your lady friend Bonnie.
And Mr. Christopher had an emergency that we were earlier together. We were today.
Yep,
and
we
then,
spent pretty much the whole day together.
Recording some other shit, and then he had a little family thing pop up, and there he went. And so now we're doing this without him, which is unfortunate because this is a request raffle episode, and that is a big thank you to Mozart and the rest of the patrons, Linda Williams and Super Old School 1994. Once a month, they each suggest something, pick it randomly, and boom, that's the request raffle. If the Patreon picks up a bit, we might look into doing more than one a month. We'll just see what happens. It's an idea that might just happen. But in the meantime, it's cool because we like the idea of just doing albums people actually care about. Anyway, we care a lot about the interactions from people. We read all of the comments, such as last week we reviewed MC Light's Eyes on This, and we had GameX Simmons respond, and apparently he had requested this album way back in the day. So perhaps it just kind of sat with me, and it took a year to come into my mind that we should do it. So there you go. Yep. If you request something, it might just pop into my head as a random good idea I have one day.
But really, it's your idea.
Yeah, of course. So all of to GameX Simmons, and he's been around for a while. He's pretty cool. Yep. And he has the Limp Bizkit Significant Other CD cover. That's pretty awesome to me. There were a few different people producing on this album, and we said it because we kind of made it sound like the DJ of the group produced everything, so he was a little bit correcting us here. I'm pointing out that the actual producers had PMD from the rap group EPMD, the guys in the rap group Audio 2, and DJ Marley Mark. Of course, K-Rock was heavily involved in all of this, but he wasn't necessarily the only person who did it, so thank you for that correction, because anytime we do make mistakes, it's super important to get that clarification out there. So if along the way here you feel we make errors or we sound ignorant or we sound dumb and you just want to correct us, I highly encourage that in the comments section. We learn, we get better. We're not professionals. We're learning. We're working at it. All right, Bonnie, why don't you introduce the album that was requested for us to do this week?
Well, this week we are doing the highly requested from particularly one person.
I've seen it actually before in the comments.
Really? Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, it's an interesting one. Brotha Lynch Hung, Season of the Siccness.
Yes.
And this came out February 28th, 1995, so it's like a mid-90s kind of flow. So you kind of expect what you hear a little bit in terms of the sound.
Yeah,
But everybody apparently wanted to see me listen to this one because it's like a horrorcore.
Well, it's darker themes than some of the other ones. But basically, I know he's currently around with strange music and whatnot. I don't know much about him as an artist. I haven't listened to much by him as an artist. So this is kind of like a new experience for me. I don't know. I just kind of went into this with an open mind, super curious, wanted to hear it, but I don't really have a lot to comment for this portion. So this was like a fresh look on this project for me. And you?
I had never listened to anything quite like. Well, I mean, I don't know if I've ever listened to anything quite like this, but I do feel that this definitely drew inspiration from some other people that we have listened to. I'll get into that, as we go through.
And
but
the cover is dark.
Yeah,
it's super dark. His face is kind of hauntingly looking at you, and it's like
it looks like God almost, but you can tell he's evil almost.
Yeah, he's coming at you, and you're supposed to be kind of afraid of him. His eyes look fucking bloodshot. He just looks like he's ready to fuck shit up, and it's cool. He kind of has because there's something called Season of the Siccness. Your first thought is, well, something's a little bit whack that's going on. He's gonna have a little bit of corrupt mind going on here. I want to hear more. I want to understand what's going on.
It does look like something scary is about to happen. That maybe it's like a full moon or whatever.
Almost gives it a cinematic feel, you're about to watch something actually play out. It's more than just a like a regular album cover. Like, I mean, I would say that like the design isn't particularly impressive or anything. All these
No,
years
it
later,
doesn't look that great,
but
but
the effect of the design and what he had is pretty fucking awesome. Because
I mean, he stands out on the cover, and that's really the most important thing.
like I feel like it's something I'm gonna remember, whereas other ones that might look nicer or better per se, I would forget quicker. But this is just something that's gonna stick with me. So I really dig
But
it.
like I do have to say that his logo for his name, it looks like it's written in like that sort of like Gaelic, like Irish looking handwriting that you often like see like associated with like St. Patrick's Day or whatever. And I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, it's totally cool. I really like it. So let us know what you think always about covers, whatever. But in the meantime, we might have to take a little Cusche break.
Oh boy.
All right, you motherfuckers. You ready for this? Is your joints lit?
Basically, if you're not high, stop the tape
Yep.
immediately. Get your joint lit. Get ready. Get high, man. He doesn't even want you to approach this sober.
Yep.
Perhaps through market testing in his life, he realized that after consumption of marijuana, you are in the right frame of mind to understand where he's coming from, or maybe it just sounds better if you're stoned. I don't know. But yeah, so he's like, stop it and go get high, and then proceed once you're equipped and ready for the rest of this project. Get ready for the experience.
Yep.
It was so like succinct. It was like, it just kind of like, it was fresh. It was like, I honestly found it a little funny. Like you're just like, what? It's kind of like when like people tell you to stop a video or whatever, and it's like the opposite, if anything, of like a good marketing move in theory. But really, it made me want to hear the rest of this album. I'm like, okay, so if I gotta get high because it's that fucked up, all right, you know, like it just kind of
Yeah,
puts,
like it's definitely like a warning for like sort of what's about to come, that like you won't even be able to handle it if you're sober, because he's about to like give you some real shit is gonna like happen, and like this is basically what he says, and then he's like, all right, if you're high, like let's do this, and he just kind of like gets into it. And I definitely have the same feeling that you did. It definitely made me like want to listen on and see like what was going to happen, and it kind of like had me hooked. Like I wanted to see what was going on.
yeah. And if you were already high, you're supposed to peak this shit. Anyway, I give it a 4.25 because it's cool. Like, it stands out. It's definitely not something I want to hear every single time, but it's also something I'd want to hear sometimes because it's kind of like any of those other, like, this is a public service announcement brought to you. Like, it's got that kind of, like, stickiness to it. Like, it really just kind of gripped in, and now I just can picture his voice telling me to get high and listen to the album. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I give it a 4.5 actually. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. It, presented its message. It kind of like let you know that like some real shit's about to happen. And yeah, I mean, it intrigued me.
So yeah, it's Sicc Made.
Yep.
Dealing with the stress, killing off the less fortunate, but they trip.
I think it's worth noting to just kind of comment a bit on the environment he was in, because from what I
Okay.
understand about this album,
From Sacramento.
but it's like at a time where he felt like he truly had like a warrant on his head, almost like somebody, like people were gonna kill him,
Like a target on his back.
and like the environment was so fucked up that like he like maybe people were just jealous he was trying to get into rap, or maybe the way the gangs were split up he wasn't doing it right. I don't fully understand the story.
Well, I think, a lot of the time, and it has come across before, is that like a lot of people use rap as an escape from like that world, and I think that that's probably what he's trying to do, because he does kind of make it clear like what his intentions are in doing rap, and it's because he wants to take care of kids, which we get into later on, but
But,
I
like,
mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, but like it's like as much as that's true, and he wants to use this to get out of the environment, it's clearly like he's like
He
a
can't.
desperate man trying to make sure you understand how he feels and the really fucked up nature. Like to me, it's kind of got like that urgency of something like Straight Outta Compton's urgency, where like this message just had to get out right away, right off the beginning on this very first song. Like you feel like I mean, I could see how at first glance people might write it off as a bunch of lines about guns and shit, but this is to me more of that like kind of journalistic approach is my first thought. Like, and when I packed me a gun and when I was young, I dreamt of feeding them up. nuts, souffle a la done, motherfuckers get hung, my bullet weighs a ton, you know? Like, he's kind of referencing some, like, culture right there with the weigh a ton line, probably to the My Uzi weigh a ton reference. And, like, he's kind of referencing how, like, even when he packs a gun, you know, it's not, like, there's something bigger than just having a gun. Like, he immediately attaches this, like, reason for it, or, like, this purpose. So, like, he doesn't want you to just think he's some aimless guy. Like, there's a reason for it all. And I thought that was really cool. And honestly, I don't know that if I had heard this a year ago, I could have been able to come to that kind of a conclusion for the real. Like, honestly, one of the most helpful things I watched was the documentary for The Art of War by Bone Thugs, and I think of that because it needs to be said, like, they're very similar
Absolutely.
flows
It
and
definitely
styles.
it's with like the cha 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 or whatever, like is like in the background, like the noise that he makes. Like I mean, I did a terrible job of doing that.
But then, like, he does take it to a new level. Like, when after that cannibalistic, that got the 9mm gun, that got the motherfuckers on the run, that thought I was done. But Lynch is not the one to go out from a gunshot wound. I'm not. You know, it's on the one hand, it sounds like a lot of the other versions of this, but, like, he takes it to that next level, like attaching the cannibal label to him, you know, making him. And I mean, maybe it's not like,
and, like,
the
he
most
wants
extremist.
to kind of maybe come across as like pretty fucked up, I think.
Yeah.
Like he's all for that. Like he's sort of like a Marilyn Manson in like rap.
Yeah, and then, like, you know, bitches they come, just not like the rest. Cop one in the chest, should have worn a vest. You know, I know what a bloody mess, puffing on the cess, dealing with distress, killing out the lens. I mean, I think for me, what's a little bit more impressive than, say, the lyrics is the flow. The way he delivers these lines with, like, the fast-paced cadence and whatnot, and he just kind of paints this picture of, like, there's a lot of violence going on. He's willing to do what needs to be taken. He's painting, like, the context of the extreme situation. He's got people fiending for his shit because he's, like, the fucking dopest, you know. But, like, he's just, like, empty clips, drink and fuck with that spliff. He's letting you know the kind of wild up person he is. He's giving you an insight into maybe how his life is living here, you know. And then, y'all want to know what the sickness is? The sickness is when you hug your mama and your dick get hard. Walking on your baby mama and she's sucking your son's dick. And then with these little interlude things,
That was kind of fucked up.
just takes it to the next level and lets you know this is the type of fucked up shit that he's got, like, thinking about. And I kind of like it, right? Because if we're supposed to take rap as this, like, gladiator platform of like, poetry to, like all the various rhymes to prove you're the best and shit, I suppose a direction to take it is who can come up with the most fucked up and crazy, like, provocative, shocking shit to
I
say,
mean,
you
and
know?
there's definitely, like, I mean, in listening to this, you know, it may not be, like, my particular taste, but, like, I mean, I know people who would probably find this really interesting and would really, like, appeal to them. And, I mean, you know, everybody needs to have something to listen to.
Yeah,
So.
like, and I think it gets really fun. Like, he just goes again with the extremity. And I say fun because it's like, now you're going, what kind of fucked up shit's he really going to say? And he just responds, listen, take my mouth off that cog, that shit, because eating dead pussy clit, I make you sick. But it's that season, so my reason is legit. I'm having fits. I dream of eating bloody pussy clit since I was 6. I fiend for a dead pussy on dick. I got the skits. So I mean,
He talks about like eating a bloody vagina an
and
awful
some
lot.
necrophilia here.
Yeah.
So here it's both dead and bloody ones. And I mean, again, it's some shocking, extreme, like stuff that we're listening to, but the way he's delivering it, the flow, like, he's doing everything that everyone else that's fucking dope is supposed to be doing, right? Like, crazy wordplay, intricate flows, the rhyming's insane. Like, he's got that. Like, I love the flow that he has. It's like one of those flows where I hear it and I don't care who it is. It's just I'm a sucker for that shit. So it really like got me. That beat's cool. It like is that kind of. I guess he's a West Coast dude. I think.
Well, yeah, he's from California. He's
Right.
from.
I mean, I was pretty
Sacramento?
sure Sacramento's there, but sometimes I'm wrong. But and yeah, it has that cool, funky beat feel to it while you're kicking on through with this crazy, awesome rhyming, you know. And like. Overall, I gave this a 4.5 on 5. I thought it was fucking interesting to listen to. I mean, I would rather listen because like it goes so grandiose with it that it almost gets to a point where it's more tolerable than the quasi-realistic shit where like people are trying to be like, I'm gonna come do some shit, and it's like I don't really believe that he's gonna go and fuck a dead corpse tomorrow. which
Yeah.
kind of like makes me love hearing him rap about it a little more. Like it's more like his art and his imagination. And I think that surprisingly, I could get into this a lot more than I thought I would. But anyway, 4.5 on 5.
Cool. So I mean, he starts off the song using like a voice altering machine, and he kind of sounds like the devil, and like, you know, it sounds all like warped and whatever. And like he's basically saying, you know, that he's kind of just in like the same sort of category or just as messed up as like Charles Manson, and like he's fucked up. So like you kind of know like right away just by like the sound of it that it's going to be like kind of creepy, and it did kind of remind me as well. Like this song definitely reminds me like the flow 100% of Bone Thugs and Harmony, but like this intro, like this kind of like altering devil sound, it reminded me of DMX. In like, you know, Damien and whatever else, when he's talking to like the devil, it's kind of like got that whatever, like I think that sounded more like Tim Allen, but whatever. So yeah, anyways, that's like what he was using. So I mean, I can see inspirations that like maybe he's like taken from like other artists, and I think that that's pretty cool. I also find that some of his flow in some of like his songs, he kind of sounds a little bit like Snoop Dogg as well. So I mean, I guess that, you know, that's also, he's from, you know, California, so I guess that's probably like in his like influence strongly. So he also says that he's not going out from like a silly bullet wound, like, you know, guess again. So he's obviously involved in like dangerous things. He talks about how he has all these ladies. And then there's like the lesson is like to not fuck your mom, I'm guessing, is like what like the sickness is, which is kind of weird. Don't have incest.
I think it's more than that. I think he's trying to paint the sickness as like this crazy thing that takes over his neighborhood or his environment and makes people act in these like fucking super extreme ways. And he's trying to like, because if I understand where he's coming from, it's supposed to be one of the more extreme places at
And
that
like,
time.
I think he kind of maybe has, maybe a mental illness, and like maybe he's referring to that, like having like that desire, like maybe he's, you know, on like the verge of something, and he's not quite all
like maybe
normal. Let's go with that word.
I kind of looked at it like this is a guy who is in like a really dark environment, and instead of like maybe coping the way everyone else is, he comes up with these dark, elaborate stories to take his extreme emotions and kind of give them an outlet. Mm-hmm. Like to me, it's just really like there's some sincerity to like the emotion he's trying to convey. Like this is what it feels like to be around this sickness. So he's trying to disgust you and give you like the worst things almost, just so that you can maybe even start to feel like how he's feeling, you know?
Yeah.
And I think
And
that's
like and this song like absolutely like made my skin crawl. Like what he's talking about. I mean, it's not pleasant, it's gross, and like it's not, you know, nice, but it's like his like fantasy almost, you know, when he talks about being like a cannibal, and then like obviously like that kind of related back to me at least of like eating like, you know, this bloody pussy that he, you know, so much fantasizes about. It's like, you know, the closest thing that he can get to eating flesh, right? Like I don't know, it's weird, and I suppose that if he does that, then that kind of helps to like subside his desires of actually eating another human being. So you know, it was weird. It still made my skin crawl, but it was cool. I'm not really like a big fan of like the lyrics like this, but his voice was good and the beat was great. It reminded me, like I said, of Bone Thugs and Harmony, and I like them, so it made kind of sense that I liked this flow. I gave it a 4.25.
All right, let's talk about Dead Man.
So what's up, nigga? What you wanna do, nigga? Stomp on them foes, nigga. Can we dump, nigga?
All right, we got a little skit here.
Yeah, short and sweet.
Mr. Doctor calls Mr. Doctor's a friend from the hood who will be on this album again. Mm-hmm. So he calls up Mr. Lynch and lets Mr. Lynch know, Peep, I got this little old trick from the other side. You know what I'm saying? Bitch be running her mouth. You know, people are out to get you, etc., etc. Can we do it? Can we dump? I don't really know what that means. I didn't really
Maybe
look.
they're going to dump a body.
Maybe, like they're going to go kill them and whatever. Mm-hmm. But still, then Lynch responds, listen. We're going to chill at the crib. We're going to strap and wait. And then he lists all sorts of stuff, including a street sweeper. And this is not related to this song at all, but my mind got fucked up the other day when I realized the lyrics are, "We're going down, down, baby, your street in a Range Rover, street sweeper, baby, cocked, ready to let it go." And that, like, I know this is, like, I'm pretty sure a meme told me this, so I'm probably jacking a meme now, and then I verified it, but still, it blew my fucking mind. That
I don't think I knew, like, those particular lyrics.
And so, like, my mom was singing this, and so that's why I'm just like, damn, eh? Like, good on you, Nelly. So, yeah, street sweepers, and they got all the guns, and I kind of felt like this was supposed to be talking a bit about the paranoia. Like, he knows that people are out to get him, and this might be a little more literally. And so he's just kind of describing, like, how it feels. Like, you need to have all these weapons and these guns, these things. It's the only way to feel, like, safe. And then he's kind of, like, pitching it in this,
and even
like,
if, like, you aren't, like, for, like, that violence, sometimes, like, you still need to have, like, a weapon on you because everybody else has a weapon, and it's the only way to, like, protect yourself.
I thought it was brilliant. Like, it's because you feel it, right? Like, you just feel this emotion so pure in this one. And it's a little phone call that kind of bleeds into the next track and whatnot. And then it's nice, though. Like, often I find the skits are kind of aimless on albums, but this one is really there to, like, kind of fill in some of the blanks along the way so you understand where he's, like, coming from with the rest of the project, which I think, in light of the shocking matter, is almost necessary. So I gave this a 5 because I thought it was fucking amazing as far as skits and shit go.
I mean, I do like, you know, definitely enjoy the sound of Mr. Doctor. Like, he's pretty good. I mean, not that I've listened to him before, but, like, on this album, he's great. I like him. And, you know, it's just about an attack that they're kind of, like, planning on, like, you know, maybe, like, these other, you know, gang members, like, you know, people in another gang. And I think in one of the songs he references wearing blue. So, you know, and he's from, again, California. So I'm assuming that means that maybe he was involved in,
I think he's,
like, Crip-like gangs.
Well, I feel like if I understand what I've referenced,
But he was in gangs.
He was like involved in criminal activity for a while. Switched to music,
even like at 13 or something.
But he wasn't really in any particular gang. And apparently, if parts of the lyrics on the album allude that was part of the problem, was that he hadn't really drawn proper allegiance, but he was still willing to do stuff and like people that did him. So I feel like he didn't. I don't feel like he was in a gang, but he was not afraid of the gang behavior. And if I'm wrong, I'm basing this off of what I heard on the album. I'm super sorry. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, and then, you know, he's obviously, you know, planning on, like, destroying his enemies, and, like, whether that's in rap or whether that's in real life. I mean, that could be two different things or, you know, whatever. And, you know, I think he's, like, the leader. Like, he's the one that's ultimately making the decision, and, like, that's what, like, Mr. Doctor is calling him, like, be like, okay, do you want to do this? You know, I think he's kind of, like, you know, he gets to choose whatever he does. And just tells him about all his weapons and that he's going to, you know, take them down. And, you know, I mean, it was a good progression. I think that this album definitely has, like, a story to be told. And this just helped, like, you know, push the story along. I gave it a 4 on 5. It was fine. It was great.
You know what? Rest in piss.
Ew.
People of the podcast that watch us, I broke the main rule. Bonnie, I'm supposed to talk last. Bonnie, can you go first?
Sure. So, you know, listening to this song, it sounded like he was suicidal a little bit. And I think that that's why he was ready to do, like, anything and be involved in, like, you know, any particular violence, because he didn't even care if he lived. There's definitely one thing that, like, I noticed, like, pretty quickly into the song is, like, that high pitch noise that, like, was happening in some of the songs at this time, and it hurt my ears so much. Like, I had to, like, take my headphones off because I just couldn't do it. Like, that noise, like, it was just, like, too high pitch, and it was awful, and I was like, I can't. Like, it's a decent song, but I couldn't listen to it because of that. But anyways, I'll talk about what I did listen to from the rest of it. So sorry about that. It just made my ears pain. So he talks about shooting his enemies. and that the beat and the flow were like really good. He's hard and he kills the rap game, and I think that's kind of like what he's comparing like his real life, like his street gang life. He's kind of violent, I guess, and that's just why he's hard in his raps, because that's just who he is and what he knows. And he talks about all the hoes and all like the people, whoever like came and like pissed him off, and like any of like his pals that like screwed him over. He just kind of was like, well, rest in piss. Like he does, he's cutting ties
and
with
all the
those
women,
guys.
whoever scorned him, should rest in piss too.
Yeah. So like all these people that were haters on him, like he's just like, whatever, screw you guys. So I gave this a 4 on 5, and it would have gotten probably like a 4.25 or a 4.5, but like that high pitched noise just hurt my ears too much. It was like, I don't know.
Understood.
You know what I mean? I'm crazy. But I did like the song besides that. And it just kind of made me think that he was like maybe like a sad, tough guy, because, he's doing all this stuff because he almost doesn't think that he should live.
Well, I feel like just with the placement, with that little phone call right before this song, and then like almost that first line, I was a dead man walking, they say, so every night I hit the J, load up the AK and post up in the window till come day. Anyway, hey, I feel the payback simmering in my brain, the thoughts of death cloud my mind. I was like, yo, that's some fucking shit right there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, dead man walking, based off of what he just described in the previous skit, or just in general, it means there's a target on your head. Somebody's out to get you. Somebody's trying to come at you. So he basically sits there. You can picture him, like, in his little window looking out in case somebody's coming all night with his fucking AK ready to go and a joint in his mouth so that he can try to ease some of this tension and get his mind to whatever, right? And he just fucking goes on from there, and it just paints this picture. Apparently the 24 references is because of the street he was involved with, the 2204 gang or whatever it is. So like that's his block. So 24 ways and a 24 sack of that purple Kush will make me sicker. It's kind of like shutting out his block while also pointing out again how there's multiple ways to deal with shit. Like his people got it covered, the weed that they provide is the dopiest, etc. Then Sicc can even get to rig rut cannibal if you wish, cause it's EBK every day all day to the day I die. I'm creeping through your set with a mini Mac 10 AR-15 Ruger, a bunch of gun shit, a lot of gun stuff.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of like sets it up in this thing. But again, it's really like if you think about what he's saying, all of that stuff that followed are the fantasies that are playing out in his mind while he's sitting there paranoid with his fucking gun staring out the window. So this isn't actually stuff he's doing. It's almost like these rhymes, these things, these is like him like watch. And I'm saying this is how I'm interpreting it, at least. It's like he's scared for his life because people are out to get him. And he's dreaming of vengeance that he's stuck into this position. And so this is like this fucking lyrical onslaught is what he can actually do with it, And I thought that was fucking cool. So like from the, it just kind of, the second verse does the same kind of thing. I could just read all the lyrics, but they're pretty much in the same vein of it. I like when he's like kicking it with the maniac that a meme react. Like he's just so talented with rhyming like that. I give it a 4.5 on 5 because I got really bored with the outro. Like the cursing out or whatever. I mean, it's cool the first time, but had that not been there, this would have been a 5. This is like right up my alley. The music video is fucking grimy and cool because like they use colors in an interesting way to like convey creepiness and shit. He's lying in a coffin in the very opening scene or whatnot, and it's like it really builds up this cool brand that makes me want to like check the guy out more. But I don't really like those outros. I understand maybe I'm not enough into the culture for all the shout outs and shit, or I'm not from the streets or whatever, but man, I'm just not the biggest fan of them. Big ups to Nicki Minaj for separating her inspirations thing as the last track of her last album, Queen. But that was a cool move in my opinion. That's a way to do it. Anyway, that's enough about that. We all gave grades, so let's get the baby.
Let's.
That motherfucker.
I'm just kidding.
You don't want me to hear it.
Man, you must be.
How'd you feel about this one?
Well, I mean, it sounded like a normal argument that, parents of like, of a baby would have, arguing about like who's going to, get the crying baby because they're both exhausted probably. But then it just kind of like escalates, and then, he gets the gun involved, and, he wants her to pick, and then she won't pick between like,
Pick between killing her or the baby.
Yeah. And yeah, anyways, and then he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna pick, and then we hear like the gun cocking and like shooting, I think, and then it just breaks into the next song.
And based on the name of that, I'm pretty sure we have a good idea of what he picked. He did not pick the woman, is what I'm saying. He shot the baby, is what we're supposed to take away.
I imagine.
I just want a 4.
Yeah, same. I mean, it's like an escalated version of like the normal parent thing, but maybe don't have a loaded gun around your baby and or family.
I mean, I think he's trying to show he's so fucking extreme, he'll kill a baby to prove his point, you know? Like,
yeah.
So I get it. I don't get it.
And like he doesn't
but
want himself to live, so I guess like he doesn't really care if like his spawn lives.
Well, I don't necessarily
know.
know if that's supposed to be his kid or just her kid or whatever.
Maybe.
But like, because like, I just got the feeling that it was just a way to like be extreme a little bit, you know? I don't know. I was fine with it. It was cool. It, I guess, set up the next song properly. That's about all I gotta really say. So.
All right. Return of the Baby Killer.
That's true.
Maybe mine's, I know they be crying when I'm cutting off the neck or killing off the skin.
He kills people.
More particularly, a baby and a fetus.
Oh, but guess what Daddy's bringing home for supper? Nuts and guts and slabs of human meat, motherfucker. Now eat, 'cause Daddy's working hard for you, Rilla. Killers run around every day. That's why I'm hard for you. So you almost get the sense that since everybody's dying around everywhere anyway, all these people are killing, so he's out there grabbing the dead bodies, and that's his fucking supper because they're so fucking poor or whatever that this is basically all they have to eat.
Yeah.
That is, I think, the main premise of this track.
I don't know. I mean, like, I thought, like, I mean, the start was something. I mean, he talks about like putting like a gun inside a woman's vagina and shooting it. And like I was trying to like give him like the benefit of the doubt on this one that he was talking about his penis and like exploding inside.
I don't think
but
he was.
I really don't think
I do think it was a double entendre.
I mean, it could be. But I think that, it was like, his penis is the gun and like all that.
But I think it was definitely having like the literal side.
Yeah, because he talks about like having like guts and everything like exploding and like he kills, you know, babies that are inside the women by doing that. It's like just get an abortion. It's a much cleaner solution. Yeah, I guess he just, you know, like you said, he kills people and eats them.
But it totally, the whole first verse, for the record, works as a double entendre for sex.
Yeah. But like
even
some kind of crazy stuff.
No, but even check it. Like put Sicx in a clip, put it in that clip, and watch them baby's brain strip, that fetus bleed. It's that kill him, and like whatever. So if you were to just take a step back and like kind of exaggerate that sperm is like potential fetuses dripping out of the whatever.
Yeah.
Then in a sense that could just be a really elaborate cream pie scene that he is putting out using this descriptive things, and I think that most of that verse doubles over.
And then he like goes on to like describe how he eats these babies and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and it's just like.
But I mean, I do think it works primarily as that, but it does double over really sexually, really well, and I think that to me was the most impressive part of this. You know, like. Yeah. I don't know.
And then like he talks about like. You know, like, how can you kill your own mother? It's just, like, the weird stuff that he does. And, like, at the end, he basically admits to being, like, suicidal again. So he obviously has some, like, anger management issues and maybe should see, like, you know, a therapist, get some help, do whatever. I mean, this was, I mean, it wasn't a badly performed song, but it was just, like, a topic and, like, I just feel like it wasn't like easily accessible for me. I'll just say that. I feel like more people would just be like revolted by this song and wouldn't take it seriously and wouldn't listen to it enough to like understand like what he's really trying to say.
Oh, it's brilliant.
And I feel like a lot of people just wouldn't want to hear about this kind of a topic. So I mean, I gave it a 3.25 on 5. I mean, it's not for most people, I would say.
Okay. I give it a 4.75 on 5. I think it's even better as far as the songs go than the other ones because this is creative as fuck, man.
Yeah.
And I like that. Like, cannabis sativa got me stuck on a stuntful. All I take is a wake, a bake, a fat green bud blunt and a stunt because it's that work. I'm trying to censor myself. There are a lot of N-bombs up in this one. And block, creep, and witness, murder, baby, kill a seed. Once it'll make you vomit. Guts in a baby's mama's baby. Nuts in a bottle. Maybe it's common.
Like, you would have to be in a particular mood to, like, really enjoy this. To, like, be like, let's put this on, you know? Like,
I don't actually think that's true. Like, 'cause, like, people love fucking hacker movies and, like, fucking Rob Zombie movies and shit like that. Like, people love guts and gore and all that crap.
Yeah.
But, like, look at the video
I feel like
games
probably,
and whatnot.
like, people would listen to this more around Halloween.
I think she is, just from anecdotal experience, she is on the really nice side of the media she consumes. Like, really, like, won't even watch violent stuff. So don't take her that seriously when she says most people. I think that she's right, though, that most people would think that this album is a little bit too far. But, like, I see it as fucking brilliant. Like, as a creep, picture every human that I see.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely creative. I'll give him that much.
Slabs of human meat because my kids got to eat. I lives kind of deep, dark up in the cut where load nines and barrel fuck a slut. What? You ain't even seen me in my prime. And now, let's take the idea of killing and eating babies, this disgusting and awful fucking thing, and look at it as like a parable or a relation to, like, doing drastic and fucking crazy things to feed your family, like any kind of crime. Like, he's just trying to make this really extreme example of, like, a feeling, because that's what he's doing, but it really could be crack selling or anything else, and it just fucking works the way he's writing it and the way he's putting these emotions and the sequence into place. So I think he is going really extreme with it, but I think it's a way of kind of creating relatability almost, right? Like, it's definitely a way to talk
I mean,
about
it doesn't really relate to me, but I mean, I get it.
But, like, he's talking about, like, some seriously real issues in a less direct way.
Yeah.
But I do think that, like, I don't know. I thought it was
You
fucking brilliant.
definitely have to have a trained ear. Like, I mean, like, we kind of, I think, by now have some sort of, like, understanding that things are not necessarily quite the way that they're written. And, like, there's obviously a hidden meaning, like, behind a lot of things. But I think that a lot of people wouldn't. Like, maybe not everybody would, like, understand that, like, what he's saying isn't literal. Like, he's not actually eating babies. Like,
that's why you're supposed to get high when you listen to this.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously like a fantasy, and, like, it's just like his weird imagination.
As I've come to see, I used to take some of these lyrics way too literally. But, like, how most artists aren't singing literal songs, you know? Like,
no.
I mean, how many professional
Everything's
songwriters,
like an exaggeration of, like, real life.
Or even to that end, how many people are just singing shit other people wrote and all this other business? And I bring that up to say because, like, the idea is that it's art, right? So why can't it just go super extreme, you know? It's not like it's anything weird. Like, you don't have to have lived that experience
No, and there's, like, artists
art.
who do, you know, a lot of, like, weird things. Like, they put, you know, Jesus in, like, a container of urine and stuff like that.
Bjork did a whole concert VR experience where you were down her throat. Like, it's just
I mean, like, that's what makes art, you know? Experiment.
So I love the way he's taking this lens on it. It's kind of like a science fiction or fantasy approach to, like, other topics where it honestly comes off fresh. I'm certain other people have done it, but, well, this is the first one I've heard quite like this. Anyway, what did you give this one? Are you 3.25?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about, what is it?
Locc to the brain.
Remember, we supposed to be the ones with brains this low, so nigga, fuck it. I'll do it like your ass.
It looks like we got a posse cut, and I just gotta say it starts off with Zagg, who's apparently Lynch's wife at the time.
I thought she just sounded, like, very young.
So I was like, y'all should convince Bonnie to jump up on that mic and tell her she spits proper, like, she can follow rhythm and stuff. Just tell her you want to see a track from her. Just to let her know, because if you do it in the comments, it's not the same as if we say it.
All right.
Anyway, how do you feel about this song?
I mean, it was all right. So, like, this is, like, basically, like, the topic of sickness. It's kind of a carrying over, like, topic throughout the whole album. I mean, like, there's a few people that, like, didn't really, like, impress me very much. But like, Big Dan, I don't think really stood out for me. But Mr. Doctor is good. And they're all basically just talking about how violent they are and, like, their thug life and whatever. And then, like, Brotha Lynch Hung comes on near the end. And for me, like, he's clearly, like, the best one on this song. Like, he definitely stands out as being, like, the best performer. So, I mean, good for him, right? So, I mean, I give it a 4 on 5. Like, it was a decent group song. It has a decent flow and beat. But, like, definitely some were, like, weaker than others.
I don't agree at all. So I had the strangest experience with this song. I am not a huge fan of posse cuts like this. Like, I just, to me, they're cool from like a hip hop perspective, culture, etc., etc. I often don't find that I enjoy the continuity of the artist on tracks like this. It often feels like the artists are there because they know the person. I didn't get that on this song. Everybody sounds like they were meant to be on this track. It was fucking insane to me. Like, Zigzag is cool. Like, because you get like the lady version. I'll be honest, a little bit. She's a little bit weaker than everyone else. Cool, but then she gets the points back because she's a lady, and it was fucking cool to hear it. So they're balanced out. And she's like, take your Glock off safety, turn around, hit the steel. When I got the Millie pictured in my head, ain't no stopping because the devil said I'm halfway dead. What can I say? Got them evil thoughts filling on my head. Like, it's legit. She's basically spitting the same kind of shit everyone else is spitting. She goes off first, and that's really cool to me that they got the lady to go off first. It's something that I'm a big fan of when it does happen. I like Big Dan. He fucking came in proper, did it after. And what I felt is they're all similar enough to like vibe well together. They all clearly have like similar influences. They're trying to craft this like communal sound almost, right? And you could feel that. Like, you know, he's like, reach for your flags and your straps, roll the window down, roll these looking like they know it's a hit. They fucking ducking, dodging bullets. Damn, I emptied the clip. They busting back, trying to hit us from the blind side. Locc, a fucking donut in the 12-gauge pump, hang from the window. That's what's up. Now, and again, like, you get the picture, like, this is a guy who at least knows how to accurately paint the picture of what the speed and intensity of a drive-by moment looks like in a very believable kind of way, like it's something he's either seen or been a part of in his life, you know? And I don't know. If it's not, it's good writing. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's solid delivery too. Mr. Doctor's also cool. Like, come with me deep. See, I'm about to deal with all this backwards type bitch shit. Them fools say that they'll kill was taking. Them fools that say they'll kill, that's taking hits, not doing shit. When they get lit up on their turf, some move when their life not even left. And since that time, haven't heard from them. So here, I believe they're referencing maybe that friend that passed away, and the situation is apparently. We'll talk about it later. There's a whole like fucking song about it. Yep. But you get the sense that a lot of people who claim to be killers are not acting appropriately when the situation called for it. They just appear to be a lot more talk than anyone wants to acknowledge. So he was calling attention to that. Then Hystables is fucking awesome too. See, I was standing in the middle of a circus because a bunch of trying to jack me with a 9mm Ruger and a 60 posse, but I ain't going out for a jack move. The only thing in my mind is pulling my 9 is handling these fools. Now tell me what you busters want with me. They started talking about pockets on the ground. You mean empty my loot out? You fools must be smoking sherms. And then, you know, try to rob him. He pulls his gun out and proves that he's willing to kill over get robbed. Yep. I mean, it wasn't like the most profound thing there, but it sounded proper. Again, it flowed proper in terms of like. So if they're trying to, again, paint their environment, they're each kind of giving a different story of stuff. Like, in this case, it's drive-bys. In this case, it's vengeance. In this case, it's, oh, shit, I'm getting jumped and stuff. And I feel like they each managed to, like it's almost like a montage of environment, and like you're panning to different people in this movie as they tell you a little bit about what's going on. And then you get Brotha Lynch closing it off. You can't see me for the fact that inside of my strapping is in your sights, but to put some slugs in your throat and put your guts on my coat and hit, and you know, whatever. He's fucking killing people and he's doing his thing. It's fine. I don't have a lot more to comment in terms of analysis because I've been talking for a while and I realized that at that moment. So I'm going to say that I liked his verse too. I liked everybody's verse fucking equally awesome. It's a 5-on-5. This is a stellar fucking track in my opinion. Great synergy. Anyway, now let's learn more about the story with Cue Ball.
Thing that happened and shit, you know.
So you get the sense he's broken into the cemetery. And he's gone over to Cue Ball's grave, and he's kind of just like talking at them, and he's eating or drinking something. He's drinking,
and he's just sitting there, and I think that he's like, you know, you can hear like a lot of different sounds like as he's sitting there. You can hear like a whistle from like what I'm guessing is maybe like a soccer game.
Well, I figure, you know, because I feel like there's a whistle at the end, and that's like a guard coming, because if you listen to what he's saying, it's like, but
it's throughout the whole song, and like you hear it different times. So I think it's probably like, you know, he's next to, like, you hear the cars going by. You can hear like the sprinklers going off and like spraying the water.
I'm like, you get the sense that he's a little bit on the run or something, and there's a situation, and he's
Obviously up to something that's
and
like.
he's like pointing out that if the choice is to like go to jail or whatever, he doesn't care. He's gonna die over have to actually deal with that type of situation.
Yeah.
He's feeling that kind of desperation. Yeah, I'm like, I felt like it was like he could hear like the guards whistling around, like they were looking for him, and he just took like this quick moment to like share this. It was so important for him to come talk to his friend who had been killed in a gang-related thing, as we'll find out.
It just made me think of like summer, and that he was at a graveyard, and it just happened to be near like all these other things, and that he was like involved. Like
maybe I kind of pictured it more like it's the middle of the night, and he's broken in a little bit illicitly, and he's just sneaking around, and then like the guard came, and like you might be right though, and then he's just like kind of having this little intimate moment. If I understand correctly, this album is dedicated to this cue ball friend of his.
Yeah, well, this is actually it's his cousin,
right?
Cue ball, who like died right before like this like album came out, and like he, it definitely affected him, like as we kind of will see, on some of his other songs.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's saying that he like stands beside him and will fight, basically like where he left off, like he, because he thinks that his cousin was such like a tough guy, and so he's, him and his boys are going to, go, and somebody's gonna pay for like, for his death, basically.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and like it's kind of like sad and heartfelt and sweet, and he clearly like really misses his cousin, even though it's like, it is like as like a friend and as a family member, but like as a violent gang member, I guess.
But
I don't know.
It's almost like throughout the midst of all this chaos, we'll call it, it's the most human and like emotional thing, really. I give it a 4.5 on 5. I thought it was just so touching, and again, it serves its role to like almost set up, like he almost
continue on with the story.
Yeah, like every one of these skits that he puts on really does do its job to put you in the right kind of mind space to like accept what the next song is going to be about. And I feel like if you're going to have skits on your album, that's about the only good use of them. So complete respect to his use of skits so far.
Yeah, I gave it a 4.25. I mean, it was exactly what we said it was. So.
All right, so let's talk about Liquor Sick.
All right.
11, straight bumper to bumper, 12 gauge pumping was that little ex-Locster giving up his.
Could this not have been on East 99? Like I mean, I'm not trying to be like so comparing it to Bone Thugs or whatever, but it's the most like, to me, it puts a smile on my face for how much I fucking love the sound of this track, and then it does really kind of have that cool Bone Thugs feel, which is crazy because this came out in 95. Bone Thugs came out in 93, 95 and stuff. And I'm not trying to say anyone copied anyone, but it's crazy like
it's just like
how many people
influence.
Kind of ended up coming to a similar place with their sound at the same time. And if I understand, like 3 6 Mafia, all these different people, like it was just independent. I mean, with the lack of technology and shit, like there was no YouTubes or anything back then, so it's not like, oh, they could easily come and jack the sound.
You have to watch it on MTV.
So I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something, or maybe they were all homies or something. But like to me, it's just incredible how many people could end up with this same wonderful flow and style, and similar enough lyrics that like it's really interesting to me, at least. Anyway, maybe there's some book that got really popular that inspired multiple people at the same time.
Well, it's probably just like what was like going on like around them, and like like the shit that was everybody was kind of dealing with, because a lot of these things that they're dealing with were like nationwide like problems that were happening.
I know, but
like the guns, the violence,
but if
the
you
drugs.
really just think about it, it's like Memphis, Sacramento, Cleveland. These are drastically geographically different locations.
Yeah.
It's pretty insane to me, is all I'm trying to say. Maybe it is completely right. Maybe it's just that is proof to the pudding of how widespread certain systematic issues are.
Well, I mean, there are like bad things everywhere, and obviously it affects like cities probably more. And so, I mean, there's a lot of people that live like, in these like shitty city areas, and so it affects like a lot of people quickly all at once.
Fair. Anyway, for this song, though, it starts off with a little intro, kind of like commenting. So what really happened? I understand. Ain't nobody did shit for my cuz. Where them at? They said they put it all on the line, because only chopped the emptied went up toward the sky. So right away, you get the sense that this song is going to be about his frustration for how after his cousin died, all the people that claim to be ride or die and all this other stuff who are allegedly supposed to claim the vengeance chose not to
where are they?
act. And his frustration is there. And so he kind of lays it out on this one. But how do you feel about it?
I liked the very beginning of it because you kind of hear like people like playing pool a little bit. Like you hear like the pool cue like hitting like the ball, and the cousin's name is 8 Ball, so like that kind of like tied into that. Like I guess that was like his like representation in sound. So he's gonna basically kill the people or the person who killed his cousin. And people are coming after him now, so he's kind of worried about that. And he talks a lot about people like around him dying. And like the chorus was just like awful for me. I didn't like it. He's going after his enemies with a gun, and he's shooting, and somebody has to pay for his cousin's death. And then like the line says, there ain't no fucking way that someone is going to get away with it. So I mean, it sounds serious. It sounds like he's gonna like find someone to like retaliate to, even if it's whatever. Somebody obviously did something. And I feel like the cops, if like they're listening to this, like they're gonna probably be like, we should probably keep an eye on this guy. Because like I mean, this is just kind of like what it sounded like. If he's kind of like rapping about a crime that he's about to commit or that he's hoping to commit.
Yeah, but at the same time, like I don't really think that. Like it's poetry, right? Like this is his,
I mean,
like,
it's obviously
coping
like an
mechanism.
Exaggeration, and like he probably wants to kill
like
someone.
The same song,
but he's probably not actually going to do it.
So check it. In the same song, he's like, it's not about crip or blood, it's about payback. The family loves fuck your whole clique. Like 24 deep, they're trying to kill me for my fucking tapes, So here we get the sense that his aggression, it's not about gang affiliation or whatever. He's mad, fuck anybody, your clique, and then, people are coming after him for his music, for what he's trying to say or whatever, right?
But he also even raps about, like, in this song, that he's probably going to get arrested for, like, singing about these retaliation plans. So, I mean, like, even I was like, even he was like, okay, well, I should probably not sing about this, but fuck it, here it is. I'm going to probably kill someone.
I think it was, like, satirical, though, right?
Yes.
Like, satirically commenting on how ridiculous the police are out there and all that other type of shit.
Yeah,
right?
but I mean, obviously, like, if someone killed, like, someone in my family,
well, yeah,
like, if someone shot someone,
like,
and you would be like,
he's trying to express,
that, like, I'm going to go kill
saying,
someone
like,
else.
He's like, I'm so fucking serious, the cops may as well arrest me.
Yeah.
All right. And then, but then he's got them baby rapes, so get out my fucking face. If I was really banging, would know. Because I'd have the whole set looking like LA when the earthquake hit. Fuck with my tech. So he's kind of pointing out, if I was actually going to do some shit, you'd know. And then because he'd spray everybody with his fucking gun. And I think that's also part of it. So he is making this whole song
like
lashing
a little grandiose.
out. But, like, he's also pointing out in the same song, like, are you fucking kidding me? If I was really going to do this shit, this is what's going to happen, right?
Like all of this other shit that he's sung about before probably.
And I appreciate it totally if y'all do that thing where you correct me and I'm fucking wrong. I like that part. So if you feel free if I'm misinterpreting any of this.
Although, I mean, to be fair, we did watch, like, a thing about...
I don't know.
Sicx or whatever.
That had nothing to do with this. So yeah, we watched this interview from DJ Vlad about Siccx's child molestation charges.
Yeah,
so
it's 15
That's
charges.
very bad, but not related to this. Is he on this one? No.
No.
But he's on this album.
Yes.
So yeah, and then I don't know. I just felt like there was some genuinity to this. Like he's just fucking frustrated and angry, and the expression and the pure like passion that he throws into this. Like again, it's a man who I picture. I still picture him at this point sitting there, looking out the window, paranoid and shit, just spitting all these fantasies at us, And like I think it's really fucking cool. So I give it another 4.5 on 5. I really liked it.
Okay.
You did not like it.
I gave it a 4 on 5, but
Okay.
just keep an eye on him.
All right. Let's crack a 40 and take a break.
My 40 ounce. Give a shout out to all my homies.
This calls back a little bit to the intro. So we gotta light up some more shit. Approaching the middle of a tape and shit. Hope motherfucker's kind of cool, kind of high right now. But there's some more shit from this dead motherfucker, So at this time, pop off the top my 40 ounce and give a shout out to all my homies. and then he just kind of shouts out a lot of people.
Yep.
And tells you to keep getting high and drunk. And I thought it was kind of cool. It's a good way to remind you that you got to be wavy to listen to this. And he's like, Singer Cat, shit's about to get more fucked up. You now need the alcohol. Almost like the weed's not good enough anymore. Now you got to pop off that 40 and really get lit to appreciate the rest of this. But most importantly, what I like is he really wants you to, like, sit back with your drink and your smoke and, like, put this tape on and have, like, an experience listening to it. And, like, this is like a little intermission piece. And it's like the fact that he's taking this whole, like, theater experience so seriously with it really sells the project and takes it to a next level for me. But for this, I give it a 4.25. It was cool. I feel like it's appropriate to play it through during the album, but, like, as an individual experience, it was just fine.
Yeah. I mean, at first, just like the sound, because you hear like the sound, I thought it was him like snorting coke. Like that's what I thought it was. Like that's what I interpreted. But I do think that like listening to it like again, like and like listening to like what he's talking about, like I assume that it's just like his like weird like inhalation of
I think he's
marijuana.
puffing on a joint.
Yeah, but it definitely sounded like sniffing. And then anyways, he just talks about getting drunk. And talks about people he's like done with and he doesn't want anything to do with them, and tells you to listen to Mr. Doctor's album, but keep listening to his and then go back to his like it's like
funny.
It's like a really weird like promotion.
But it almost feels like it was so organic and they just decided to keep it.
Yeah. And then get drunk and get high like him and keep going. And I mean, like, it may not have been, like, the best message because he's clearly fucked up. But it was fine. It advanced the story. I give it a 3.5. I mean, I wouldn't go back to it, but it makes sense on the album.
That's real gangsta.
Hoes nut 5,000 with the 9 Glock, and you gotta know that it just don't stop, Mr.
Bonnie, why don't you tell the fine audience how you feel about this one?
Like, this could be a Snoop Dogg song. Like, for me, like, just listening to, like, his voice, the flow, the sound of it, the whole thing kind of sounds like, I saw that, like a Snoop Dogg, like, influence kind of song. And basically just about, like, all the girls that he fucks, and that's what he does. And I'm not really that happy that he talks about raping a hoe. Don't do that. He's not a good person if he does that. Especially nowadays. Like, there's a lot, I feel, on this album that wouldn't fly today. Like, 10 times worse probably than it didn't fly back when this came out. But, anyways, yay for the 90s. So, I mean, this is basically a song about him, like, being a gangster and, like, sleeping with women and, like, how he doesn't give a fuck and he'll just do whatever he wants whenever he wants and he'll do whoever he wants. He's just going to take, these women and whatever. I mean, I gave it a 3.5 on 5. It was a decent song, but I wasn't really a fan of like the content and the message that he was saying. But I guess it makes sense, the previous song was you're gonna need to get drunk and high to this because if you're gonna listen to this message, it's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, this one's a little more sexual. Gangbanging girls is, I guess, the core point.
Yeah.
Because he's describing got a girl in the room. I imagine one dude's on the back. And the girl's on top, and then he's coming in from behind, digging in that spleen with the gangsta lean, and that's just how I was trying to figure out the logistics of who's fucking who in what position. I got the feeling there were multiple dudes and one girl, though.
Okay.
That's okay. Yeah, and then he's, like, describing, like, this whole story and how they had the weed and they were ready to go out with stuff, and then Sicx was fucked around and took Pooh Man's bitch. It's crazy shit. I don't know who these people are, but I know kind of what Sicx did, but I also know that Pooh Man had a bitch, and then Sicx took her for them to all go and do. So they just did us. They're all about to bust their nuts. Sluts get dug like a grave when I'm high. I mean, it's clever lines and stuff. It's just kind of whatever.
Consent, folks.
Anyway, so he just kind of talks a bunch of shit about getting laid, but with a little bit more rapey darkness to it. I don't want to say rapey in this verse.
Well, I think
like,
he says rapey.
He says it in the second verse when he goes, with a hoe and a bitch, my art be raping these hoes, taking these hoes in the room, dropped a crop and let the trigger go boom. And me, man, I'm just a G. And Yeah, it just kind of goes on with that song. I guess this is supposed to be like the Brotha Lynch take on a We Fuck Hoes track, which he just does what he does and turns the notch up to like 10, or maybe this is about 8. I'm certain there is still 10 out there.
Yeah.
And whatever. I give it a 4. I do feel like this one kind of felt like a sleeper on this album compared to like the energy and the flow, but I also feel like it does serve the role of proving he can make tracks like this.
Yeah, I
And
think
so he
that's
does it
probably
well
what he
enough.
was doing. Like he's showing like his like diverse talent.
But I wasn't so into that one as much. Still, 4. It's a good song. It's not bad to me. It's just not my favorite.
Well, let's check out Deep Down.
I'm carrying me a 12-gauge pump. Man, I ain't no punk. The average everyday thug, that's how it's.
All right, Bonnie said she had a lot to say, so I'm going to just let her go.
So this song is featuring Mr. Doctor, and like it's a long song. It's almost 7 minutes. It's like 6:51. So many people have died in this. Gang violence is kind of what he's talking about, and he's saying like this is the only life that he knows. And he talks about that he's from Sacramento, and like if people come after him, like he's ready to die. You know, like we've kind of addressed like before. And like he's seen like so much shit that you wouldn't believe, and that's why he's living this life, because like, you know, like he's kind of reiterating that he's, you know, this is the only life that he knows, and like this is how he grew up, and like so everything is just like his normal, his reality. And then like in the chorus we hear that there's like, you know, deep down like inside of like his soul, like there's still hope that things can get better and that things can be more positive. So there's like that nice message that's kind of like dug in there, and it is deep down in the song, kind of like you have to kind of look for it, you know, that there is going to be hope, and that this is like maybe like some sort of like escape, you know, like his music is an escape, but he feels like he kind of always has like one foot still involved in like the gang life, and that's kind of always kind of pulling him back into like that sort of activity. And then he talks about several people that he knows that have been killed or have gone to jail, and like he's lucky that he's still alive, and he's trying to avoid going to jail. Like that's not really his thing, but he's still willing to do, you know, anything, you know, in terms of like violence or like crimes, I'm guessing, you know, if need be. Like that's what he's all about. So it sounds like he's kind of like struggling like to find like that balance, you know, and he feels like maybe he can't really leave like the gang, you know, criminal lifestyle, the violence behind, and that he still is always going to have like, you know, because it's like it feels like home to him, I'm guessing, you know. It's just kind of like this is where he grew up and how he grew up and the people that he was, you know, involved with, and it's like a shitty way to, you know, grow up, and like in my opinion, but yeah, anyways, like he can't really escape it. Like it just keeps pulling him back. And I think that also like the music industry is like looking down at him for still being involved in that life and trying to like be successful as like an artist while still being like this terrible person, you know, compared to like what everybody else is doing. But they don't, you know, really understand like what he's saying is that they don't understand like, you know, once you're in, like it's a lifelong thing. And then, you know, he shouts out all his friends that have died and have gone to jail. And I like this one, and like, you know, he's trying to tell us like, you know, who he is and why he's, you know, kind of fucked up, and like he's not really like excusing his behavior, but he's just like letting us know that like he may not have had the same life that, you know, is as similar as everybody else. Like he had a hard life. So I gave it a 4.25. It was good. There was, you know, it was great progression. It was honest. It was definitely like solid truth. So I like this one.
Yeah, I mean, the intro just kind of paints this picture where like they feel like they're ready to kill, and they have to be. But you also hear like these like clips of like just different things being said, like stuff like, I got 10 dead homies, but I'm still here. I'm born to die up in this city. Just like lines like that, like stuff like quoting like, my mama told me I'm not going to live past 21, you know, but I'm still here kind of thing. But
yeah, Kanye kind of feel.
Simultaneously while saying, but look how many of them aren't still here, you know, and the real weight of that situation. And I feel like it just adds some severity to this, right? Like, so when he's like, yeah, I could load a 9 up every day, but why? My Loccs told me, homie, make them tapes and keep the 24 block alive. But I feel I'm in need. I gots to ride. Carry a 9 for straight business, not just the side. Man, it's the nightmare creeping in the cut. You know, even then, like, everyone's like, bro, stay out of this stuff. Like you were saying, go for the music, man. That's going to save us all. If you can make it, you can save the day. But still, it's almost like it's calling to him. Like he feels like he has to be involved in it, like you were saying, and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And then, like, he just kind of goes in and paints that picture. And then Mr. Doctor has lines like, I guess it's hard to explain how I'm feeling. I guess I'm feeling sorrow because my homies got some stealing, and fools would say that it's my fault, I bet. See, because I wasn't strapped, yo, but I can't fuck my set. How could I know them fools would be blast? Later on, my folks, it's funny how the Spaniards got us different strokes. But you get in a sense there that, like, he felt safe around a certain group of people. Like, he was, like, you know, hanging with his squad, his people, and then they robbed him. And later on, everyone's like, well, you're the fucking idiot. You should have your gun on you, man. You fucking moron. And he's like, but, like, yo, these were my people. I shouldn't have had to have my gun. But I guess that's what it is. Up in this environment,
Yeah.
You really don't have friends. Anyone can turn on you in a minute. And they just paint this picture that, again, I think this is the song where, like, I really got the point of what he was trying to do with this project. And I think it is this deep down, take a look at what he's saying and, like, understand the environment, understand where he's coming from and what they have to do, you know? I had a 4.5 and 5. It's another really amazing track with the beat and the flows and everything the way it's supposed to be. It's cool. So next one is Dead Man Walking.
I give it up, then I'm in the cut. 5 000 00 Mossberg pump. Point it at your grill, ready to.
Like, this one's kind of like just this long, like, one verse, right? Like, which is cool because I think it's the first song like this we've seen without a hook or anything. Like, he just had to get some shit off of his chest, you know? How do you feel?
I mean, this was interesting. It was another, like, honest song, like him telling, like, some truths. He talks about, like, how, like, his mom tried to kill him, like, kind of when he was, like, in the womb. So, like, I mean, he wasn't meant to survive from the start almost, like, and he's lucky to have made it this far because, like, even when he wasn't even born yet, he was, like, people kept trying to kill him, which is pretty fucked up. I mean, really, when you think about it. And, like, this is the life, and people may hate him for it, but he's just trying to do what he can to survive. Like, he's just, you know, this is what he knows, and, like, he obviously hasn't had, like, necessarily, like, the best life. So, I mean, there's a lot of, you know, shit going on. And, like, he's hard in rap because he's hard in life. You know, we've seen that before. You have to get high to, like, kind of, like, get, like, some sort of, like, understanding of, like, his state of mind because, like, he's fucked up. And he talks about that he's thinking about his cousin a lot, which is fair, considering that he just died before this album came out. So, I mean, it's kind of hard for him to, like, keep going because, you know, he always has them on his mind. And, like, he just is kind of asking for, like, a second so that he can kind of grieve and, like, deal with that. And, like, that's kind of why he needs, like, the weed to keep dealing with it because, you know, whatever. Like, and he's sharing this story with us that he's, like, having problems coping with, like, the, you know, his cousin's death. I mean, which is fair. I mean, it was a shitty situation. And it was just sad to hear, like, people end up like this and, you know, because of, like, all these other circumstances that, like, even from the start, like he wasn't able to control, like, what his mom did, you know, when she was pregnant. And I just kind of wanted to give him a hug, like, you know, at the end of this song, as long as he promised not to rape me. But, like, he just sounded so sad and, like, you know, he kind of just sounded lost and, like, he'd kind of given up a bit and, like, he was just kind of looking for, like, some, like, understanding, like, from, like, his audience or from, like, people and just people to just kind of leave him alone, I guess. So, I mean, I gave it a 4 on 5. Like, it was all right.
I kind of took it more like he was describing himself.
Okay.
A little bit. Like, because, like, check it. In the casket hotboxing, how many motherfuckers want to empty their Glocks in me? The gangbangers most wanted. The first caught in me on my side, and my set didn't ride, so I'm low to the motherfucking brain. So I feel like it could both be taken in the sense of like this is him impersonating or taking on the role of his cousin who got shot and how people didn't get it. But I also feel like it's his paranoia now. He knows that his people aren't ready to like they weren't able to save his cousin. So, I mean, they didn't do anything then. So that means that if anybody's willing to not be like that and people want to kill him, he just feels like a dead man walking, which has like that kind of anxiety. Like, I like when he's like, reality check for the fact that she's giving it up. It's suicide for the do or die, true or the die each time. One after each, I creep through the streets with a 9mm up under my seats. I pack heat deep because, like me, can't be played cheap. Blink before I'm leaving this. Guts up in the streets. And you just get the sense again, like, he feels... Like, I feel like this is an anxious response to that threat on his life that he almost described earlier on the album. And, like...
But he's obviously taking it very personally.
Yeah, and he feels like people want him to die everywhere he goes, and he doesn't even know when the shot's going to come. So he has these fantasies of how he's going to kill and retaliate and deal with the circumstance of a situation. So it's almost like, again, this is another played-out fantasy of how he's going to attack first almost, or how he'll react when that moment comes and how he'll deal with it. And I feel like it again paints this picture of him and with his target on his back and he's going around and whatnot. So I don't know. I give it a 4.25. It is definitely a slower, calmer song, which I guess the album needed maybe something like that just to kind of have. But it was totally not my favorite one per se. Anyway, let's talk about 781 Redrum.
All right.
40 ounces of the liquor, 16 in the clip, crumble the herb.
Johnny has a rule that when there's a gun in the beat, it's an automatic 5. So we know
I
her
didn't say an
grade-
automatic 5. I just said automatic hit. I'm pretty sure those were my words, not necessarily a 5.
Okay.
But I do agree that there is a gun sound featured prominently in the beat, and it does crank the ratings up. I mean, it makes it great. I don't know what it is about like gun sounds in songs, but they always are just great.
Okay. So yeah, this track is really just 40 ounces of the liquor, 16 in the clip, crumble the herb, roll a spliff, but to make your brain split, repeated like 6 times with like gunshot sounds and all sorts of like 2 or 3 like key samples driving the track forward. It's very short, it's very succinct, and again, I feel like it's kind of the culmination of this album's emotion compacted into like the shortest, most like brevity.
Yeah, it's 47
way.
seconds this song.
But it really is. It's like, get loaded up, have the spliff, got the gun ready, we gonna fucking take you out. That's the album in like 4 lines. So I thought that was really cool that they did that. And so yeah, 4.5 on 5. I thought it was fucking nice. It was really like a cool little thing, a little segue, a little break between all these other songs.
Yeah. So I mean, basically he's drinking, he's got his gun, and he's got his weed, and he's like ready to do anything. And then we have like the gunshots, and like there's the smoking sounds like in it. And like the sound of the song was almost hypnotizing because it just kept like repeating and was like very much like drew like your brain into it. I don't know what it was. There was something about it. And then we have like the Redrum being like muttered in the background as well. So there was a lot going on and a lot of like mixing. I thought was like pretty cool, like the way that he layered the sounds. So, and I definitely have to stand by by my gun rule. I liked it. I did think that this was good. It was trippy, but it was very interesting, and I liked it. I would give it a 4.5 on 5.
And that's how you know she's got the season of the Sicc.
I'm filling them up with 16 and letting them know. It's either that diet or take this, and it's the nigga that...
I fucking love this hook. There's just something about this hook that really is awesome. I don't know if it's just the 9mm and just maybe it's the accent or the more Caribbean sounding feel to it. But damn, did I like it. Like, cut them in half with some of the rip gut quality for the fundamental cannibalism, get them black enemy running, and when the sickness kick in, a million baby dying, boom. And it's just like, it's kind of got that fun vibe, but with the right lyrics to fit this album and shit. And I thought that was such an interesting, like, it's just an interesting tone to it. I'm pretty sure, does this feature anyone? I don't remember.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think it's just him. So, and otherwise his rhymes on the verses are a little bit on par with what we've come to see. Like, hit the dank and took my Glock off Locc and off to the 21st block. I'm rolling in a drop top, fever zero, that black criminal, Mac with that pat. I don't have a lot. I don't want to like just kind of comment aimlessly on stuff. I mean, the general sense of this track is in line with all the last few environment painting kind of things. I don't have a lot unique to say. He does go chewing on all your nuts like my Jeffrey Dahmer, which is fun because Jeffrey Dahmer was that cannibalistic serial killer dude. So he is making sure you're educated on your serial killers and whatnot. I don't know. Like the beat, like the flow on this one, and I give it a 4.25. It was enjoyable.
All right. I mean, so he still has like his joint going. Like the flow right away is pretty cool. The chorus sounded like reggae. I mean, that's just what I assumed it was. And is all about like how violent he is and how many guns he has, and just like he's just kind of showing off. And like he mentions again about his cannibalism desires, and like, maybe in this case, like it's like the desire to like destroy and like kill his like opponents and his enemies, like in like the rap game. And it definitely sounded like Bone Thugs and Harmony again on this one. But like this one didn't stand out for me, considering it's like the title track. It was a cool flow, and I like the reggae feel to it, but it was just like okay for me, so I gave it a 3.75.
That's fair. Sorry if we're going a little quicker. It's again very hot in the room on another Sunday here in Montreal.
Yep, we're hoping for AC.
It doesn't exist yet. Maybe maybe in the future. So
Chris may be working on it.
Welcome to our own death.
So nigga, now what you gonna do with a mini Mac 10 at your gut? Plus nigga, that's in depths.
How do you feel about this?
It has a cool beat. There was like, it's sort of like a spacey banjo. Is the best way I can tell you how this like sounds, which I thought was really cool. And if you don't want to tell him information that he needs to know, basically, like, you're only going to kill yourself because he's going to kill you. And if you want to withhold information, that's fine, but he's going to kill you. He's just going to say that he'll destroy you, and it'll be like you were never even here. And it sounds kind of like a fun, like, freestyle beat a little bit on this one. And then we have Hystables or Heist that I think he goes by.
Right.
On this one, and I just felt like he had like no flair. Like his voice fell flat. And like the song itself had like a cool flow, but it went on for too long. For me, like, it wasn't a bad song. It was just sort of like him, warning you, and it was a cool flow, but there was definitely flaws that I found on this one. So I gave it a 3.75.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was just like at this point I was feeling a bit of the burnout of the album. Like at a certain point, you have heard a lot of similar things as the song. Like, again, I don't think from a topical point of view it really brings anything new to the table. I like the idea of their Welcome to Your Own Death. Like, the song title, it just kind of gives that premise that they're coming for you, and when you see them, you're meeting your own death coming into it. And that's an interesting premise, considering that, like, but he's like, I'm slowly loading up the Uzi. Well, now who's he? Is the dead motherfucker, though. I mean, I'm certain we've had another song that started extremely similar to, like, literally that. Not just to like, and it's fine. Like, it's not like I'm trying to be, like, overly critical. It's just, I don't know. I like more novel stuff. That's just what I'm into. Well, what you know, coming through with the Murder Mo, and that made me think of Bone Thugs.
Murder.
And I heard what those. Anyway, and again, it's totally fine. The chorus was not my favorite one. It's okay. Welcome to Your Own Death, and then we got them 9mm strap, and True was the game. And it just felt like another one of the songs on this album. It didn't really stand out to me in any profound way. Hystable was fine. I agree it was a little bit longer, and I felt a little bit like I could have skipped this one. I could have not listened to this track, and it would have been fine. But on the other hand, I didn't necessarily mind listening to it like when I was listening to the album in full. So like, it just came on as like part of the project. It's not my favorite track, but like I like it. I like the style of it. It's just compared to the rest of the album, I feel like it's one of the weaker ones on this project.
Yeah, like there's flaws.
I'm not gonna go that far, but it's not my favorite. So I
Okay.
give it a 4. That's what it is. What'd
Let's
you
check
give
out
it?
some real Loccs.
TJ, you know what I'm saying? And the new one.
So this seems to be like credits,
Yeah,
like him giving some love to everybody in the area
yeah,
over like a funky gangsta West Coast style beat.
Mhm.
He explains he does music to feed his kids. He just kind of
he's just trying to be a good dad.
he's trying to explain that like he's really just creating this art. He's trying to find a more positive point in his life, and I think he almost again tries to humanize it a bit. It's like the rolling credits. Like we've seen the whole movie now. The last track is definitely not the one I would have ended on, but yeah, we got this just experience where like the credits are rolling. He's letting you know everyone, and I like that he does it before the last song, so that you're kind of you stick through it just so that you have that next one that you want to see what it is.
Yeah,
I don't really have a lot to comment on here because it is what it is. It's a 4. It's nice in context. It's not the greatest thing in the world to listen. I'm not a huge fan of these long credit songs.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, he's basically just doing the music to, support his kids. He's just doing what he's got to do. Again, this is basically the credits, and he thanks, he thanks and he's like shouting out his pals and his peers, both in the music industry and I think like on the streets as well. And like he kind of says that, I don't know, for me like this, I just wouldn't necessarily come back to this one. But it is, to be fair, probably his most positive and like upbeat sounding song because he's actually truly like thankful and he is genuine on this one and like he sounds like maybe he's even smiling on this one, like he's kind of laughing and having fun, like it sounds like whatever. But then at the end we hear him beating and shooting I'm guessing like a prostitute. So then that kind of like brings it down a notch. Like it just kind of comes in weird at the end. But like it's definitely not one that I would go back to ever. So I give it a 3.5 on 5.
All right, so there's one more, a little outro for this album. It's the post-Marvel credit scene. It's Inhale with the Devil.
Yeah, that's that cook.
All right, Bonnie, what are your thoughts on this?
It is what it is. I guess, we have the inhaling sounds again, which, again, was sort of confusing. It definitely sounds a little bit like snorting of the nose, but we all know it's weed because he talks about it a whole bunch. And this one just sounded creepy, like, the way it just comes off. And he's basically having, like, an argument, I think, with the devil. Like, it's, like, just kind of, like, ridiculous a little bit. And then, like, he shoots the devil. And I don't know. I was kind of lost with this one. Like, I mean, I get the gist of it, but it didn't really like do much for me. It was like, I don't think there was anything more except that he was like a non-believer and like he's killing like the devil. Like he's the one that has to like do this, even though he doesn't believe in like heaven or hell. But he's still the one that has to like kill like this evil that exists. So I thought that was kind of interesting as well. I gave it a 3.25. It didn't really, do much for me.
Well, first of all, apparently this is a part 2 of a skit on a previous album where he
maybe.
kills the devil on the outro. Mm-hmm. So he kills the devil, and that's why it starts off with, what the fuck? Whatever. Shit, don't you know that the devils don't die? And I'm back in this motherfucker,
Oh, okay.
And
I
then
guess
he's
that
like,
makes sense.
when I shot you on the last shit, it wasn't to kill you anyway. It was just to see if I was you know what I'm saying? If I died when I shot you, that means I was the devil, based on everybody thought I was dead. Everyone thought I was the devil, but now since you're motherfucking shit. Mm-hmm. So I kind of feel like there's some growth here. Like he felt like he had to shoot the devil. Just the idea, kill the devil, because if the devil dies and you're still alive, then you can't be the devil. So if everyone thinks you're the devil and you're going fucking crazy, the only possible thing to do would be to take on the devil and fucking take him out. Mm-hmm. And I can just see how his brain ran up on all those ideas. And I know that's because you ain't got no life. I'm still hearing shit about you. First I heard you was dead, then I heard you was a baby killer, then I hear you was eating nothing but meat in 40s. You ain't no cannibal, And, you know, he's like kind of like calling him out, like as like saying, you aren't actually doing the shit that you're fucking rapping about, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, responds to the devil and goes, you know what, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? You give me something that ain't me, I feel disrespect. You know what I'm saying? Fuck around, put a 9. And he's like, oh, you a hard motherfucker now. And then he does that whole atheist things. You know, God call me Manson because you don't believe in the devil. You know what I'm saying? And ain't scared of dying and shit. Let's play this little game. You take your 9, I'll take my 9. We'll cock this shit back. We'll point at each other, play this Russian roulette. They go, and then they shoot at each other and they're ready to fucking go. And it's like the showdown of egos of the devil again. And it's just fucking cool and interesting. I thought it was fucking fun. I thought it was a perfect way to end this shit because, you know, you start off getting high and then at the end you fucking around the devil because, you know, you're fucking ripped. So 4.25.
Yeah.
Anyway, I really like it. It was a really cool track.
And what do you think of the album overall?
This was a good experience. I gave the project a 4.389 as the math worked out.
Wow.
I think it was really strong. I think I could see how there might be other projects he's done that I like more. Or there's more to this sound of what I would think in terms of polish, in terms of era, in terms of just diversity of subject matter. I think my biggest criticism would be by the end with like 18 tracks and shit, or maybe not. It's not fully 18 because there's a bunch of skits.
But it does tell a story well.
It does up until I think the last couple of tracks, and then it kind of gets into a bit of a lull. But for the most part, I feel like it was an enthralling experience. And you'll notice, like, it was really the last couple of songs that I kind of lost my steam on because that's how it felt on the album. So maybe, as Lindell Williams points out, it was a little bit too long and it could have been a little shorter. But other than that, like, because the length isn't that crazy, it's like 53 minutes. So given the track
57,
length,
I think it's less than an hour.
So it's not like that insane for the number of songs. All I'm saying, but like, I guess maybe maybe it's just the limitations of the times. I don't really know. All I have to say though, it is fucking cool. It seems like a really good starter album for extreme shit. Like, it's extreme enough to be a little bit shocking, but it's totally not over the top. There's definitely probably gotta be worse shit out there. Still, I enjoyed it. I like the flows. I like the kind of fast driven Bone Thugsy vibe of the album. I think it's really cool.
Cool. I mean, it was definitely a fun experience. I think a lot of people thought that I would be like, oh, shocked by it.
You were a bit.
I mean, and like some of it was like
A little bit.
Yeah, it was a little bit different from what I had, already heard. But I mean, it wasn't like I wasn't like disgusted by it. I didn't want to turn it off. Like, it wasn't like that. I mean, I'm also not a big fan of like horror movies, so I mean, yeah, I'm not going to be like a big fan of like this genre, but I mean, it was good. Like, it was creative, and I understand what he was trying to do. As much as he might be a little bit weird, he's still a human being. I'll just leave it at that. So overall, I gave this a 3.90 on 5, so a 78%. So it doesn't qualify as a classic for me, but I mean, it's still like an interesting listen. If you haven't listened to it, maybe give it a chance, see what you guys think. I do also want to mention that there was like a controversy, and then somebody
shot up I don't remember what song it was.
It was Locc to the Brain.
Right.
After having listened to that, he like went and shot like some of his family and friends, and then ended up like,
this is a random person who listened to this song on fucking repeat and then killed a bunch of people, and it brought
but this was September 1996, so not like a year and a bit after it came out.
Yeah, so you just kind of was like a Marilyn Manson association with Columbine or some shit,
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing happened, which is fucking interesting.
And like he was killed by like the cops like at the end because like this was like a whole like shootout thing, and like this guy was clearly crazy, and like this song somehow like was claimed to like have inspired him to go and do this. And so as much as like,
well, he was listening to it right before, so
yeah. And, like, which makes sense, I guess. I don't know if you were going to go do that, then I guess this would be the album to do this to. But, like, I don't think it's the music. Clearly, like, the guy's clearly crazy to start with. Anyway.
Absolutely.
But, yeah.
Anyway. So, yeah, thank y'all for watching this. We totally appreciate it. You can always feel free to correct us or educate us or leave your experiences in the comments. We love that.
Mozart. I want to see your comments. What do you have to say about this?
And so definitely thank you for that. So yeah, thanks to the patrons, Mozart, Lindell Williams, and Super Old School 1994. Y'all are awesome. They support us. If you like what we do, it's a cool way to do that. You can join the request raffle like them or get early access, and we'll find some new shit there. And on the other hand, if you just want to, subscribe, like that cheeky shit I have to ask for, that would be cool. Otherwise, if you just watched it, that's cool. You're still awesome. So thanks for everyone. Yep. We'll be back next week with more
Classics.
requested album. And yeah, we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye, guys.